5,000 years of gold. Explained in 13 minutes. This is gold, a shiny yellow metal. That's it. No batteries, no software, no dividends. You can't eat it. You can't drink it. You can't use it to build a house. Yet for over 5,000 years, humanity has been obsessed with it. Empires have risen for it. Wars have been fought over it. Kings have murdered for it. Entire civilizations built their wealth around it. So here's the question. Why? Why does humanity care so much about a shiny rock? The answer begins with a simple problem every civilization eventually faced. How do you store value? Imagine you're living 5,000 years ago. You grow wheat. Your neighbor raises goats. Another guy makes pottery. Trading sounds easy until you realize nobody wants what you're offering at the same time. I have wheat. Great. I have pottery. I don't need pottery. I don't need wheat. Well, now what? This problem is called the coincidence of wants, and it made trade incredibly inefficient. Ancient Egyptians were among the first civilizations to become completely obsessed with it. Around 3000 BC, they began mining gold from riverbeds and desert regions. To them, gold wasn't just valuable, it was divine. The Egyptians believed gold was the flesh of the gods, specifically the sun god Ra. And if you were pharaoh, there was no such thing as too much gold. I want gold on my throne. Done. Gold in my palace. Done. Gold in my tomb. Done. Gold on literally everything. Also done. When archaeologists discovered King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, they found over 100 kilograms of gold in his coffin alone. Imagine burying a teenager with enough gold to make modern billionaires jealous. But despite their obsession, the Egyptians didn't invent money. Gold was mostly a symbol of power and status. The real breakthrough came centuries later. Around 600 BC in the Kingdom of Lydia, located in modern-day Turkey. One day, someone had a revolutionary idea. What if we stopped trading random chunks of metal and started making standardized coins? You mean pieces of gold with fixed weight and purity? Exactly. Counterfeiting was a serious crime because money only works when people trust it. And for centuries, gold earned that trust. The Greeks used it. The Persians used it. The Romans used it. Speaking of Rome, the Roman Empire loved gold. Roman soldiers were paid with gold coins. Taxes were collected in gold. International trade relied on gold. The entire empire depended on it. But Rome eventually encountered a problem that governments still face today: running out of money. Sir, the empire is enormous. We need more roads, more armies, more ships, more everything. Do we have enough gold? No. Can we get more gold? Not quickly. Then make the coins smaller. Sir, that's fraud. It's government policy. This process became known as debasement. Instead of creating more wealth, Roman emperors reduced the amount of precious metal inside each coin. The coin looked the same, but contained less gold. Sound familiar? It's basically ancient inflation, and it damaged trust in Roman money, a lesson governments would repeatedly forget throughout history. Fast forward to the 15th century. Europe hears rumors of unimaginable wealth across the Atlantic. Entire civilizations filled with gold. The response was immediate. Send every ship we have. The Spanish conquistadors arrived in the Americas and discovered something remarkable. The Aztecs and Incas possessed enormous quantities of gold, temples covered in it, statues made from it, jewelry crafted from it, sacred objects everywhere. The indigenous peoples viewed gold differently than Europeans. To them, gold was beautiful, spiritual, ceremonial, not necessarily money. The Spanish had a different perspective. These statues are sacred, wonderful, melt them down. These temples tell the story of our ancestors. Excellent, melt those too. What followed was one of history's largest transfers of wealth. Massive amounts of gold and silver were shipped from the Americas to Europe. Spain became extraordinarily wealthy, at least temporarily. Because here's the problem with sudden wealth. Too much money can create its own disaster. When precious metals flood an economy, prices rise. The value of money falls, the same phenomenon we call inflation today. But humanity's obsession with gold wasn't slowing down. In 1848, everything exploded again. A man named James Marshall noticed something shiny while building a sawmill in California. "Hey, I think I found gold. Keep it quiet." Absolutely. Did somebody say gold? Within months, hundreds of thousands of people flooded into California. Farmers abandoned farms, workers abandoned jobs, families crossed continents. Everyone wanted to get rich. This became known as the California Gold Rush. Most prospectors found nothing. Some found enough to survive. A few became wealthy. But the biggest winners weren't digging for gold. They were selling shovels. Imagine showing up to California. You spend months searching. Find nothing. Go broke. Meanwhile, the guy selling picks and pans becomes a millionaire. History can be cruel. Gold rushes soon spread across Australia, South Africa, and Canada, each one fueled by the same dream: instant wealth. But eventually, governments faced a new question. What should money actually be? The answer became known as the gold standard. Under this system, paper money represented real gold stored in vaults. If you had a dollar, pound, or franc, you could theoretically exchange it for a fixed amount of gold. This created trust. Governments couldn't print unlimited money. Every note required gold backing. For much of the 19th century, the system worked surprisingly well. Trade expanded. Currencies remained stable. People trusted money. Then came World War I, and everything broke. Wars are expensive, ridiculously expensive. Governments needed money immediately, huge amounts of it. Weapons, soldiers, ships, supplies. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough gold. So governments faced a choice: follow the rules, or print money. They chose printing. The gold standard was suspended across much of the world. Money creation exploded. Inflation followed. After the war, countries tried to restore the system. But the damage was done. Then came the Great Depression. Banks failed. Businesses collapsed. Unemployment soared. Governments wanted to stimulate their economies, but the gold standard limited how much money they could create. So in 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt took a dramatic step. He made private ownership of gold illegal for most Americans. Citizens were required to surrender their gold in exchange for paper currency. The government centralized control. The relationship between money and gold weakened further. Then came World War II, another massive financial shock. When the war ended, world leaders realized the old system couldn't continue. So in 1944, representatives from 44 countries gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire. Their mission? Redesign the global monetary system. The solution seemed elegant. Every major currency would be linked to the US dollar, and the US dollar would be linked to gold. America promised foreign governments they could exchange dollars for gold at $35 per ounce. This became known as the Bretton Woods system. For a while it worked. The United States possessed enormous gold reserves. The dollar became the world's reserve currency. Global trade flourished. Economic growth surged. Everyone trusted the system until some countries started asking uncomfortable questions. America. How much gold do you actually have? Plenty. Can we see it? Why? Just curious. The problem was simple. The United States was printing more dollars than it had gold to support. Foreign governments noticed. France became particularly skeptical. They began exchanging dollars for physical gold. Others followed. Suddenly, everyone wanted proof, and the math wasn't looking good. America had promised more gold than it could realistically deliver. The system was collapsing. Then came August 15th, 1971. President Richard Nixon appeared on television. "My fellow Americans, the United States will temporarily suspend the convertibility of dollars into gold." Temporary? Yes, very temporary. That temporary decision remains in place today. The gold standard was effectively dead. For the first time in thousands of years, the world's money was no longer backed by gold. It was backed by trust. Trust in governments, trust in central banks, trust that money wouldn't be printed recklessly. And that's where the story becomes fascinating. Because after gold supposedly lost its monetary role, it didn't disappear. It surged. Gold was fixed at $35 an ounce under Bretton Woods. Within a decade, it climbed to roughly $850, a staggering increase. People who bought gold after Nixon's announcement made fortunes. Why? Because gold wasn't competing with paper money. It was measuring it. Every time governments expanded the money supply, gold reflected the loss of purchasing power. And governments expanded a lot, especially after financial crises, especially after recessions, especially after 2020. Trillions of new dollars entered the global economy. Yet something interesting happened. Central banks started buying gold, massive amounts of it. China, India, Russia, many others. Even the United States still holds thousands of tons. Which raises an awkward question. If gold is obsolete, why are governments still hoarding it? Nobody gives a clear answer, but the pattern is obvious. For over 5,000 years, civilizations have trusted gold. Empires collapsed, currencies disappeared, governments failed, gold remained. Rome fell, gold survived. Spain's empire collapsed, gold survived. The British Empire faded, gold survived. The gold standard ended, gold survived. That's the strange thing about this shiny metal. Its value isn't based on a government promise. It isn't based on a politician's speech. It isn't based on quarterly earnings. It's based on thousands of years of collective human belief. And whether that belief is rational or irrational almost doesn't matter anymore. Because for 5,000 years, every generation has looked at this shiny yellow rock and reached the same conclusion. Maybe it's worth keeping around. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into history, economics, and the stories that shaped our world. And let me know in the comments, do you think gold is still real money, or is it just the world's most successful shiny rock? I'll see you in the next video.